Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our TelcoTalks web show. This is the web show where we talk about what matters for telcos, and we talk about it with telcos. So this is the second episode of our web show, and today our guest is BICS. And we have Nick Kozlenko from BICS as our today's very special guest, who will be talking with us about the network's operation centers. So Nick has more than 10 years of experience in network operation center, and he is now a service network team lead for BICS, who developed NOC teams all the way from Singapore and to New York. So not to waste any time, so we have our second guest today, who is our very own network expert and tech pre-sale specializing in NOC, Oleg Kulik, who has been with InfoPulse. So hello, Oleg.
Hello, Ilya. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, so we at InfoPulse are been at services for telcos for the last 25 years, and specialize in different OSS development and NOC centers for telcos all around the globe, with presence in Latin America and across Europe and Eastern Europe.
I would like to start with a brief introduction of our today's guest. You know, BICS is an important and a special customer for us. So I would like to start with a quick history of our cooperation, because, you know, currently it's already almost 12 years of successful partnerships between InfoPulse and BICS. And when it comes to my friends, when it comes to my people, there are still colleagues who stood like at the origins of this partnership, and they're still in the company. So we know all those people. And we started this project with really a few professionals, with conventional outsourcing development professionals. Then we added some network operations, and Nick from them, and then more and more. And like by this day, I believe we have almost 300 professionals assigned to this fantastic project. And in case of NOC, it has evolved like from the classic approach, which like I believe will be maybe covered by Nick. And we started like with simple stuff, with monitoring, with routine troubleshooting, and now we're moving like in a fast way towards the end-to-end service with additional like value-added features like proactive support, like service provisioning, telecom specific testing, capacity management, and much more on that.
So when I can see Nick is back, is that right?
Yeah, thank you.
Nick,
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm really sorry for the delay. There was an issue with the connection. I'm just stuck and couldn't unmute myself and switched on the camera, but right now everything is fixed, so we can start our journey today.
Yeah, so can you rate us with Oleg as how did we handle this urgent ticket with this?
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't really validate, because I didn't hear all the conversation from the very beginning. I was just switching in the middle and then in the end. But in general, since everything is fine, I suppose that's a successful one.
Okay, so let's assume that we handle this urgent issue well. Okay, so back to business. So Nick has just a reminder. Nick has been doing network operations for the last 10 years, and now leading a service network team at BICS, a global communication enabler that connects people and things across 200 countries all over the globe. So please welcome once again Nick Kozlenko. And without further ado, because we've kind of back of the schedule, I'm going to kickstart the discussion. So BICS and InfoPulse has been together for like more than 12 years now, and so network operations evolved quite a lot since this time. How did it evolve? What changed? So Nick, tell us, please.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so NOC, it's still a centralized place for which either an internal or third-party administration supervise, monitor, and maintain the telecom network. It's usually a real big room with different devices that provide visualization of the network and provide the ability to monitor. There might be some workstations for the dedicated and details status monitoring and network interruption. And there might be some different kind of software for the management stuff. What stuck in my memory from the time when I was a student during the summer practice, I visited NOC from one of Ukrainian telco operator, and I was real impressed because I saw there around maybe 15 up to 20 meters wide monitor screening. That's a huge one. I remember there was a time of the Ukrainian Euro 2012, and I imagine how cool watch football on such a great screen. At the same time, going into the function one, the NOC acts as a nervous system to manage, optimize business critical tasks like network troubleshooting, software distribution and updating, router and domain name management, performance monitoring, some coordination stuff between the teams, and affiliate networks. But what's more important on top of this and on top of all the technical stuff, it's value. Value is something that market push modern NOC to bring on top of everything. That's something we will discuss today.
Well, thanks, Nick. And so for those who are watching, if you will have at any point of this discussion some questions to either Nick or Oleg or myself, by the way, my name is Ilya and I'm going to be hosting this event for you. Please use the platform chat to ask the questions and we will answer them if we have time in the translation, or we will ask them in the follow-up later. And also we will have some Q&As, some quiz sessions today, just to shake things up a bit. So please be ready to answer some tricky NOC related questions to win some neat prizes from our experts. So all of the officials are done today, and so getting back to the business of NOC and its evolution. So Nick, what do you think has kicked off these changes that you just mentioned about the NOC?
I would say something that is be with the pillar number one. It's a digital transformation of society. It's everywhere around us. Whenever you go to the shop, to the supermarket, or go to buy a cup of coffee, or we talk about the modern NOC, everywhere is digital transformation will follow us. Second pillar, which is remote work. I would add here one very well-known word, COVID. COVID changed our life a lot. Whenever you remember your life before the COVID time and right now, some of my colleagues told that it's not the universe.
And this should also have impacted quite a lot the way you assemble teams in NOC, right? So how does digitalization affected the teams?
Yeah, that's true. The digitalization normally impacting all around us. It's impacting real daily function of the modern NOC. What's even more tangible for managers is to keep that interaction function, interaction feelings, that that electricity, that connecting between the team members that works under the complex task, or share their knowledge transfer, just to keep the team spirit together. That's why there is something new digitalization brings to the teamwork. I would say it's built-in involvement, because involvement is a key factor that helps every team member to feel his influence to the teamwork in order to reach success together.
And is the situation the same with the service providers? Oleg, I think this question goes to you. How did this digitalization era affect InfoPulse?
Ilya, those changes and I would even say challenges really affected like every company in the telecom and IT industry, so it's quite obvious. But during harsh times, you always have like only two options. Like either you adapt to those changes, you survive and then grow after that, or you just like stay reluctant to change and just disappear from the telecom industry map, like at all, completely. And obviously, like we've chosen the first option at InfoPulse. And when it comes to the digital transformation, it is inevitable, but quite like a smooth kind of change. So you can plan something in advance. You can plan how to change the structure of your NOC in advance. You can like easily and smoothly implement those changes. You can change the tools you use at NOC teams. You can change the way of cooperation between people at NOC teams. So everything is going quite smoothly. But when it comes to the COVID as such, it is different. It is different because it's another kind of change. It's sharp. It's unpredictable. It's I would even say it's shocking. You know. And during those like shocking changes, companies show their real nature. You know, they can demonstrate their ability to adapt like to those harsh times, to those changes, and to fully remote work, for example, in case of COVID. And after almost like 3 years of pandemic, if I'm not mistaken, I could sum up that we passed that way successfully, and we passed it together, like with our customers, because all the business continuity plans were prepared together, like in a tight cooperation with our customers. So that's it. That's it.
And another interesting thing, I think, especially for our overseas audiences, that InfoPulse has a part of business in Ukraine, and the situation in Ukraine. I mean, it's been all over the newspapers for the last 9 months. The dire situation and the crisis and the war. This should have some impacts. And how do you address that as a service provider?
Well, indeed, like it's horrible, but still quite unique experience, you know, for a service provider. Because if I'm not mistaken, we covered like this topic in details during the first episode of our TelcoTalks show, and like our audience can watch it if needed, if they want. But I can briefly like share my view on that. For those like who are not aware about us, InfoPulse is an international service provider with branches like all over the world, like starting from the Eastern Europe and up to Latin America. And of course, like Russian invasion affected us and affected not only like Ukrainian part of our people, but also like our Ukrainian souls, I would even say. But unlike the many other competitors, InfoPulse was prepared, having a business continuity plan in place, developed like together with our key customers and key stakeholders. And that plan, I would say, covered two key aspects. The first aspect is the safety and well-being of our people, and another aspect is the business continuity, because during those times, during the harsh times, you still need to deliver like 100% of your service. That's it. And in the end, like it helped us to understand that people are our greatest asset, and we need to support them and show or help them during such times.
Well, yeah, thanks, Oleg. And so remember the times that I mentioned in the beginning about the quiz we're gonna have. So I think it's the time for the first question. So whoever is watching us, please see it your screen. And our first quiz question is: quality of what was the subject of the first ever complaint ticket? Right, and we have options: A, food, was it copper, or was it the construction quality? So I'll give you 10 seconds to select your options, and we're then going to reveal the answer. So option A, food, option B, copper, or option C, construction. So thank you everyone who participated. And before revealing the question, before revealing the answer, one of our speakers, I would ask to one of our speakers, Oleg, do you think what is the right answer?
That's an interesting question. Ilya, you know me well. I'm always like complaining about the food, so I would settle on this option. Not sure.
So you think that's
Yep.
option A, food?
Yep.
Well, okay, I have to disappoint you, unfortunately, because the correct answer is B, copper. And it was a very long time ago. It actually was 3,772 years ago, at 1750 BCE in Mesopotamia, and the first complaint was filled in actually on a piece of clay for the quality of delivered copper that one of merchants bought from another merchant. So yeah, this is copper. And everyone, thank you for participation, and all those who guessed, or maybe they knew it in advance, you are in for a free consultation with our InfoPulse experts about your NOC situation, whether you're a telco, whether you're a communication service provider, or etc. Well, okay, I guess that's it, and we're going to move on to with our discussion to the most interesting part, right? The modern NOC. And I guess the question goes to Nick again about the modern NOC. So what are the focus points of today's NOC? What do you think?
Yeah, thank you, Ilya. That's a very interesting question in today's world. And I would say today the most hot in the modern NOC is customer orientation. Let me share some examples about it that confirm that it's indeed very important right now, and that is bring the very good connection between the customer and the operator on the telco market. We had a case with one of our Nordic customer whenever their subscriber was lost in Africa. One of our engineer received a call from the Nordic operator with a request to help with any information we can retrieve to save life. Normally we have a very rich connection with all our African operators, and we immediately checked everything we can do from our side. We retrieved the data, traces, CDRs, and we localized the specific network where the subscriber was registered the latest time. Based on this, we contacted our African partner to help localize the exact location even more, and helped that information. We indeed shared the quite detailed localization of location to the emergency services, and the happy end, the person was real found. We even received a photo of the happy but exhausted person that was found somewhere in the middle of desert in Africa. That's
so you mean
one case.
This is how NOC saves lives?
Yeah, true.
I mean,
this is literally NOC saves lives, and so that in order to save life, there should be a real customer orientation and very good collaboration of different parties together. Second example is that we received one of the requests from our Chinese customer, and they were very much concerned about the local support on local Mandarin language. That time we didn't have anybody in our company speaking Mandarin, especially in the NOC department, and we didn't have NOC in that country. But in order to serve our customer with the best possible approach, we found new people. We opened an office with NOC in China, and right now we provide the first-class service support for that customer, and we successfully develop our business together.
And by the way,
that is quite outstanding.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on top of that, when it comes to the support of the languages of some end customers, it's not even a single case, because a similar situation we had a couple of years ago when we experienced quite huge like demand for resources in Latin America from our biggest customers. And I would say it motivated us to open a new branch of InfoPulse in Brazil. And as of now, it's one of the fastest like growing locations for us, both in terms of business and in terms of the people we have there and experience. Yeah.
Well, that's so. Okay, we got with the customer orientation. This is perhaps the hottest one. Are there any others?
Yeah, let me take this question up. There are a lot, I would say. We can put here lots of pillars like automatization, time, resource, money, and so on. It can be a long list. But let's discuss these 4 pillars based on the feature that all the leading players on the market are looking for right now. Let's take an example like a smart system and customer portals, because right now this is something real hot in the telecom area. Okay, whenever we take a smart system and customer portal in the automatization view, it helps a lot, because then customer can self-help themselves. They can log in on this portal and retrieve all the possible information they need immediately. They can find the KPIs, traces, CDRs. It can be useful not only for technical specialists, it's very useful for also commercial, pre-sale departments, and some sales stuff as well. And what's more important, that it's immediate information access, because you no longer need to contact NOC, to send a mail, call, spend your time. It's immediate information provided. And this is our second pillar, time. It saves a lot of time, because you no longer need to wait for the specialist response. And sometimes due to not really proper communication, it can go into long pending case, which is not the case right now in the real world, because all the information needed now, immediately, and even sometimes it should be provided yesterday. If you go to resource, it's also helped to reduce a specialist involvement right now in our team, because whenever you have this smart system and customer portal, your engineers can be involved into some real technical aspects, and they no longer need to spend their time on the simple requests that customer right now can treat themselves. And if we talk about money, which is always a very important pillar everywhere, as it's a monetization, because the access to the portal or to the smart system can be provided to our customer, and we can monetize, and every customer can monetize this approach.
But since it's all about the automatization and giving customers the opportunity to make everything on themselves, and this, how did that affect the actual engineers, network engineers, who do this work?
Yeah, thank you, Leah, for this additional question, because today's NOC engineer is not an entry-level position as it was in the past, and what is tend to be as an explanation in the world before. But today it's quite demanding one, with a real huge number of expectations from every candidate. If we talk about the daily routine, it's not about the ticket management that it was in the past. Right now, every engineer should provide end-to-end service.
And this reminds me of actual topic of our event, and this is a key word, like from routine to end. And I think it's time now to maybe reveal a bit more. How do we understand this end to end? What does this mean? Oleg, what do you think from your angle? What is end to end?
The most common definition of the end-to-end service maybe is the ability to oversee the whole, like, complete integral service, like from point A to point B, through different technological domains, through different equipment, and But that's, the traditional approach. There is another one. There is another definition we faced in one of the customers, which is based in the USA, and they develop their own roaming and steering solutions. And by end-to-end, there we mean like a bit different story, because by saying end-to-end there, usually it means that our network operation team would not only like support and troubleshoot their products, their solutions, their platforms, but also start working with this product, starting from the initial deployment of this solution, then with configuration, fine-tuning, support as such, and even the dismantling of this system from the customer premises. So in this case, we're talking about maybe the support of the full life cycle of one of the products, one of the telecom products.
Well, this sounds quite high profile work. So Nick, do you have something to add on that? Is how do you take end-to-end in BICS?
Yeah, sure. Like from BICS point of view and from our history, it's very well visible that BICS evolved from one reactive NOC team to a variety of different teams such as proactive, fraud, quality of service, first line team, second line support, engineering, premium support, which increased the pressure on the NOC guys, as demand to NOC engineer right now it's to be a rocket science professor, not just an entry level position. And everything of this push growing requirements that is brought by the market to a NOC engineer, such as a variety of different KPIs, local language support, product distribution, and its complexity, and everything together bring us ability to provide end-to-end support for every product in every single point on the globe.
Mm-hmm. But it seems to me that you just described an NOC specialist that is almost impossible to hire these days. But is there any recipe how to hire an NOC engineer today? What is your, maybe you have a checklist of what do you look for in NOC engineer today? As a team leader.
Thank you. That's a rather pain point right now for NOC managers, and that's very difficult because right now we have like two pillars. We can hire or like entry-level engineer, and we need to spend lots of time to grow him, to teach him, and to sit with him head to head, to share the knowledge, involve him into this technical and difficult world that is telecom market right now. And another one is to hire already an experienced engineer, which is not easy nowadays, and which it can cost quite a huge money for the company itself. That's why I would say right now, one of the most important factor into hiring specialists is soft skills. One of my colleagues told me one interesting phrase that sometimes I'm using a lot. He told that I would hire the people only with whom I'm willing to go to the bar, which is very well described which rich soft skill need to have a person, so that in order to successfully proceed to a technical interview nowadays, additional to the technical skills.
Yeah, but so it's like opposite from what engineer does, right? Engineer is perceived like more technical guy, but right now it seems that in NOC we're kind of focusing on the soft side of the people.
Yes, I can confirm that, because apart from the technical knowledge and maybe even like a business acumen, like in this industry, one of the most important things that I pay attention to during the job interviews as a hiring manager, it is motivation. It's like, it's like in a good relationship. You need to understand what you can give and what you can get. So my goal is to identify if there is this like perfect match between us, between the candidate and between our like end customer. And you know, that maybe one of the biggest challenges is to identify if we can give the candidate enough space for further growth, for further development, some next career steps, because it's really important to give those opportunities to our people. And like you asked about the challenges we have. One of the challenges I really like keep in my mind is not really about hiring, but maybe about the attrition. Like you cannot avoid it completely, so that's not the thing you can just ignore. But and there is no like perfect recipe for that. But at least you can use some like I use the following recommendations. If you wanna keep like people at your company, at your like project, you need to invest in them. You need to develop them. You need to train them. You need to give them like new opportunities to switch between projects, between domains, to learn something new. And that's the way. That's the way how you can deal with attrition, as for me, at least in my humble opinion.
But then it comes to a point when a person could develop and then leave because he isn't, you know, he grew, or he or she grew, and then he or she wants to leave the company. How to keep this balance between the nurturing and retaining? Nick, do you have this secret ingredient in your team?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very proud that 9 out of 10 specialists keep in BIGs that I was working with keep working on BIGs. We are in NOC a very openly nurturing specialist for the company in general. Many of my colleagues are successfully joined pre-sales, service management, engineering, and even sales department. But also it's very important to keep a healthy balance between the newcomers you have in your team and the real experienced engineers. This is something can help you to build a real good team.
How you keep this long-term team members of yours entertained, especially in this digitalized world?
I would say it's not my only game. It's the company in general. BIGs is a very well structured company with a real good future and good ideas to grow, and people want to keep working on BIG's success, and like a general world, in like internal world and attitude of people playing a very important and success role to motivate people every day.
Well, okay, thank you. I guess our audience would have some lessons to learn from you as a team lead. And so now it's time for the second quiz of today's, second from the two that we have prepared for you. And please pay attention to the screens as I launch this quiz. And the question goes this: when was the first ever toll-free automated support line launched? What year? Is it A, 1971, B, 1975, or C, 1966? I also give you, let's say, 7 or 10 seconds to sort out your answers, to think about what you want and when do you think it was launched. I'm not asking where yet. So 3, 2, 1, and we're done. And as usual, before revealing the answer, Nick, I think as a team lead of network operations, right, you must know when was it launched. So what is your guess? Maybe you even know who did this.
Honestly, I don't really know who did this, but normally I would vote for the most oldest option, because free phone and their useful case, I can't imagine not only telecom, but every company don't use it. It's completely unbelievable, because right now everywhere in telco, in marketing, in every sphere, company try to use the free phone use case, because it helped a lot to make the product together with the end customer connected and easily fix their issues. Right now, Bix, like all the cloud numbers in Bix, is a very booming product, and we provide lots of cloud services to our customers. And I see how important it is right now, and especially during the COVID time, all these toll-free lines were extremely used to help people to save their lives.
Can you imagine that sometimes there were times when there were no toll-free lines? Can you imagine the service network engineers works these days? Huh? Okay, so your guess is, did you mention that is the oldest one? It's 1966.
Yeah, the
right?
oldest one.
Well, it's 1-0 to Nick at today's game versus Oleg, because Nick is correct. So it is indeed 1966, and it was launched by AT&T in the United States, obviously, and it was the first ever toll-free automated line with a code of 1-800, which is obviously used until these days. So yeah, long live the automated toll-free lines who take so much problems off the network engineers. And getting back to our discussion, let's move on to the concluding part of it. We've talked quite a lot, and as I can get from this conversation, so what Nick mentioned and what Oleg mentioned is that NOC today is more about trusting to people and to teams, and to ascending quality teams that could provide that end-to-end service, could provide the best service they can to the customers. Is that it? Is that really a matter of trust?
Yeah, for me, the matter of trust in one of the most important pillar. Let me rephrase, because right now the FIFA World Cup started. I would say trust in your people is the most important to win a game. Trust on every management level help to build a real healthy organization. And this is a very important factor, as well as everything we discussed today. But this is something that combines lots of other important factors all together. Let me share an example, an easy one. After the COVID started and there was no real ability to travel, we were pushed to set up NOC team remotely. It would never happen without trust. The trust in people who was leading the project, and the trust in people that were participating in this project itself. So the trust is indeed very important in nowadays.
Is that the same situation in your company, Oleg?
Yes, I would say yes, because our business is done by people and for people, and trusting our people and letting them develop themselves, develop their expertise, has been the cornerstone of the cooperation between Bix and Infopulse for many years. So yep, in this business, trust is a must, I would say.
And it resonates quite well with the engagement that Nick mentioned, and the involvement that he looks in when hiring people, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but this involvement and engagement, it translates how a network engineer would react to customers' requests, and how willingly he will be solving the problems of customers, because basically NOC is all about that, about solving the problems. Which is really telling of our today's web show. So thank you very much for rounding up this discussion. And I think we have a philosophy here, right? Because the trust is all that matters. But let's take a look at the questions that you have submitted to us during the event, and we have quite a few of them. And the first one from John, and the question is, what percentage of NOC teams do you see that are still at home, and what percentage do you predict will stay remote for the next 2 years or longer? I think that goes to Nick, or maybe Oleg can complement Nick afterwards, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, John, for the good question. Indeed, in our team, everybody was working remotely, and I would say people already get used with that mod. Lots of people likes that approach, and they don't want to revert back to the normal life. At the same time, we have another part of the people who living with a very big hope to revert back to the office, to that the previous life, and talk to their friends, communicate with the other teams, share the knowledge together. And what I said in my previous talk, that all this, interference and all this energy in the air, it helped a lot. Some of the newcomers, they really asking to have as much as possible connections during the daytime. That's why what I think that people will more tend to change their approach and revert back to the office. Right now, we are very flexible, so we allow our people to go to the office. Of course, it's only partially, so only part of the team can go to the office and it should be approved. But normally, more and more people start to attend office on a regular basis, and it gives us a very big hope that the life can come back to the normal shape.
It's something similar happens at Infopulse, Oleg?
Yes, more or less. Like we have like different moods among the people. But like if you ask me personally, I do believe that in the long run, maybe in 5-10 years, the future will be virtual and fully remote. So, but that's only my opinion.
So no more rooms full of network engineers.
Oh yep.
And the big screens. Okay. Well, I hope, John, we've answered your question. Thank you for asking anyways. And we have a couple of more questions. We have one from Rebecca that goes to Nick, because she asks, you mentioned a lot of new trends at NOC, and how do you apply these trends in your team in particular, Nick?
Just if we go into the real details, I would say how we transfer our NOC from the one country team to the demanding expectations that we have nowadays from all our customers. Right now, we have a multi-country setup. We call it follow the sun mode, so we can cover 24/7 for all our customers. And additionally, we have a product orientation NOC. I would say product orientation teams, maybe it will be more correct. And with the local language support and with the local presence. So all together, we combine all the customer requests. Right now, we have offices in different continents, like in Malaysia, China, Singapore, Dubai, Kyiv, Brussels. Then we go to the Rio, New York, and it helps us to cover all the customers' requests and to serve our customers with best possible approach.
Thanks for answer, Rebecca. Hope we've answered your question as well. And we have one more from Olaf, and that goes. So Oleg mentioned that we roll out NOC teams, and the question is how fast you usually can roll out an NOC team as a service provider, I guess. Oleg?
Well, you will never get a straight answer from a sales guy, but I would say
we're
it depends.
starting the pre-sale right now, I guess.
It depends on many parameters. Like the basic ones are the team size, the technologies that have to be covered, the locations, the commercial details, of course. But like in an optimistic case, I would say it's a matter of several weeks. That'd be so.
And we are talking about the full set-up team.
Sure,
that
sure.
is able
That's the case when we're starting like from the scratch and up to the complete team.
Well, not bad, I would say. Thank you for the question. And the last question for today, and it also to our guest Nick, about the KPIs. What KPIs do you usually use in your teams, Nick?
KPIs. Okay, if we are talking about KPIs, I would distribute it into two different areas. We have personal KPIs where we track our team members' activities, and we have the team KPIs where we can track the teamwork together. And also inside of the team KPIs, we have product KPIs, and also which gives us a better visibility on the which products are served better, where we miss something, where we need to improve ourselves. Because the NOC team is, we know that NOC is something to fix. That's why there is also might be a room for some faults and mistakes. That's why we are always ready to improve, and we are improving every day our work scheme and attitude.
And that's let me just ask one more question personally from me, because you mentioned that in your reply. So let's say you have a team member who makes a mistake, right? It happens. So how do you usually treat that?
That's a very simple question, because we are all human and we are all making mistakes. NOC is not about to make a mistake. NOC is about to learn how to treat that specific situation or that specific case in order to make a better, in order to be a better tomorrow.
Wow, that's quite poetic. I think that's the right time to roll down our live stream, and to thank you everyone who came to see us and who participated in the quizzes and who maybe learned something from Nick, from Oleg, and from myself. It was a pleasure hosting you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nick. And we wish you all the best with VIX and with the variety of your NOC teams across the world.
Yeah, thank you, Ilya. It was my pleasure to be here today. It was a very great discussion with you all, guys.
And yeah, we've been InfoPulse, and come and see us at our next TelcoTalks event. We will be missing you during this New Year's celebration and the New Year's vacation that we're going on. So the recording of the event will be available for all of us who joined today a bit later, as well as the prizes for those who answered correctly to our quiz questions. So please stay in touch. We're going to contact you anyway. So thanks everyone, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.